All right, and we are live. Welcome. This is the first ever Regrid Parcel Data webinar that we are doing. We're so excited, and thank you all the attendees for registering and joining us live. Let's keep this interaction interactive. So you can use the message console on your interface to let us know if you have any questions, if you're curious about anything, if you would like us to repeat a few things or show the screenshot again. Please let us know as we go along. It's going to be just me and Matt today. Blake is also here from the Regrid team, but he, technical glitches as always. He's not able to hear us on this webinar. So let's get started. This is exciting. Today we're just going to talk about Regrid Parcel Data and just go through an overview of what the parcel data is, what our coverage is like, what sort of attribution we have, how we deliver data, etc. And at the end, we'd like to open it up to all of you who've joined us live right now for any questions. So yeah, let's get started. I would like Matt on our team to go ahead and introduce himself first.
All right, good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, depending what time zone you're in. My name is Matt Hampel. I'm a senior software architect here at Loveland. I work across our parcel services from our platform and enterprise to the API and to the bulk parcel collection data and delivery. And I'm joined here by our colleague, Blake Gerardo. He is the primary point of contact for our parcel system. You'll be working with him closely if you're working with our parcel data. He knows all the ins and outs, manages delivery for us. And I'm sorry that he's not able to jump in right now, and hopefully he will later. But we're excited to get started and tell you a little bit more about our parcel data services.
Absolutely. And thank you, Matt, and thank you for also introducing the amazing Blake on our team. I'm Sahana Murthy. My title is that of a general manager, but I do a host of things from product management to product marketing to managing the team, the strategy, the ops, and the works. So a lot of times you will interface with me, if you're a data customer. So yeah, so that's a little bit about our team. We are an extremely approachable team, so feel free to email any one of us. Our email addresses are very simple. It's just our first name @regrid.com, so you can get to all of us at any time if you have any questions, or you can use team@regrid.com or help@regrid.com. With that said, let's just dive right in. Let's give a little bit about, give a little context about what parcel data is. Essentially, Loveland, we've been, in operation for about 10 years now. I think our roots were very different to what we're doing right now, but it's all in the same, it comes under the same industry. It's under the same realm of things, which is working with property information and property records. So we have been a primary property and parcel data collector for over a year, close to 2 to 3 years now. We work with counties directly, and we obtain parcel boundaries, the shape files, the data, and the tax assessor data that comes along with it. Now, if those of you who worked in this industry or have worked with this kind of data before, you know that the data differs from county to county. It's very disparate. It's not standardized. So our amazing team here, which includes the two people that you will hear now, Matt and Blake, they kind of work on it, they standardize it, and make it available at a nationwide level. So today, as of today, we have close to 143 million parcels mapped and yeah, recorded on both on our site and on our data set right now. And that's kind of what we will talk about. We'll talk about what the data is, how we have collected it, what our coverage is, what attribution we have, and then we'll end the session with delivery notes on how we deliver the data. All right, so Matt, if you want to jump right in and talk about the data itself and our coverage.
Definitely, I'll get started on that. And are folks able to see my screen? If not, please let us know in the chat, and we'll make adjustments here.
Yeah, I'm able to see your screen.
Great, wonderful. So I think one thing I want to introduce is this report that's several years old at this point, but assume if you're here in, sorry, I'm getting a message that folks can't hear me.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear me, Sahana?
I am able to hear you, yes.
Okay, I will try and speak up a little bit here.
Darren says he can hear.
Thanks, Darren.
Yeah. Thank you, Darren. Go ahead, Matt.
All right. And so if you're in this webinar, you're probably familiar at a basic level with what a parcel is and how it covers it. We also have this great report at landgrid.com/reports/parcels, or if you just search Loveland Parcel Report, it'll pop right up. That really introduces what parcels are and more of the process that we go into to acquire, collect, clean, and standardize these. So this report is a couple years old. We're going to work on updating it, but it really is a great introduction to the subject. And so let me dive right in a little bit to our coverage information here and how we collect the data, how we're looking at it, and how you can see what it is we have to see. So if you land at landgrid.com/parcels, one of the big pages that we have is the Parcelverse. And this is a map of the nation. It has green, red, and yellow counties, every county or place that we have online in the US. And this is a key place to look to see our coverage. It's a quick place to check if a county is online, see the scope of it, see how many we have online. So right now we have 2,800 online. There's 170 or so that we know are possible to collect and we're working on getting. And then there's about 303 that for some reason, whether it's prohibitive cost or in some cases simply we've learned that the data is still on paper, we haven't been able to get parcel data there, and we're not positive we'll be able to get it in the short term. So you can see that coverage here, 2,843 counties online as of today. As of coming in next Monday, we'll probably have more available for you. Every other Monday, we release a batch of updated and added counties, and those are available to our bulk data clients shortly every month after they come out. And they're also available on our site and platform and API as soon as they launch as well. So some basic information here. And let me dive a little bit into the coverage report. So if you have a specific question about the coverage, so for example, you're curious, if we have a field, a specific field, what's our coverage for that field if we have a specific county? Or if we have a specific field in a specific county, we can share, we're happy to share a detailed coverage report with you. So let me pull that up now and put that on screen here. So here's the coverage report as it stands today. It is a large spreadsheet, but we really pride ourselves in providing as much detail as we can so you can make a good decision. And we're happy to work with you to get answers out of this or to help guide through this process.
Matt, can you zoom in a tad bit?
Absolutely, yes. Good point. Hopefully that's a little more visible.
All right, thank you.
All right.
I know, Blake, so sorry.
And then just to walk you through this a little bit, we have detailed information in the state, county, GeoID, how we store that data, and our last refresh and number of parcels in that place. And then we have columns for our percent coverage for each of these fields, because for some fields, we'll frequently have 100% coverage for a county. For others, it really varies depending on what our partners have available or what the county itself provides. And to talk a little bit about that, let me jump over also and share our standard schema. So as part of collecting this parcel data, we convert it and clean it significantly and place it into the Loveland standard schema. So this schema is available online here as a Google Sheet right now. It lists every column that we have in here. And let me bump up the size a little bit. All 106, 105 columns that we have right now. This changes occasionally as we add and remove columns. And you'll see here the field name that we have for it, the type, the data type that we store it. These are Postgres data types, but they're generally similar across different formats. And then some examples in a human readable description of what that field is. So if there's a particular field you're looking at, check out the standardized schema, the data dictionary for the standardized schema. And then you can check on the coverage report, our coverage for that place. We also try to keep these as machine readable as possible. So if you're integrating this into a workflow, you can add your own automated checks and your own queries on top of this. One thing I do want to note is that we have this standard schema, 105 different columns right now and growing. At the same time, counties often have fields that are one-offs. Maybe it's something special that just matters to that county, to a particular state. We will add those fields on in addition to the standard schema here. And unfortunately, because of the variability of those, we don't have a comprehensive dictionary for those. If you're working with the data in bulk, we're happy to talk about strategies, but the standard schema we're guaranteed to distribute with every data table that we have.
Sounds good.
All right. And so,
go ahead.
All right. And then another thing I wanted to talk about is some of the premium and extra columns that we've been working on adding recently. And you might have seen emails about these, and I wanted to share a little bit more detail about them. So in addition to the basics that you get, all the columns in the standard schema here, there are a number of additional steps that we go through to enhance the data. So one of those is standardizing addresses and running them through USPS validation. So that will give you details like the type of delivery point, if it's a residential delivery point. It'll show if that address is valid in USPS, and we'll have a delivery indicator that indicates if that's a vacant address or a deliverable location. And that data is included in our premium data sets. And we're also excited to have recently launched a new building footprint data set where we have the count of the number of buildings overlapping the parcel, as well as the size of the building footprint on the parcel. And we're rolling that out. That's out. The count is out nationwide. The square feet is rolling out and available in most places. We have details about this on our support site, support.landgrid.com. There's a general FAQ about the parcel data, including details on the building data. It talks about how we get the data, and I'm happy to answer detailed questions about this later, where it comes from, and the process we go through to match it. And similarly for the USPS data, we have an FAQ specifically on that, and we're always happy to answer your questions on it that shows how to access this data, and it's available on the LandGrid platform as well.
Yeah, and we recently did 2 videos on the buildings data, and you'll find them on our YouTube channel or on our website on the videos page.
So another one that we've been rolling out that I wanted to quickly speak about is an issue that a lot of people is near and dear to a lot of our hearts, and that's the question of what is the parcel used for? And this is a surprisingly tricky problem because parcels can have zoning, they can have use codes. There's no standardization of this nationwide until now. So when we get the data from a county, it'll have whatever the local use codes and zoning codes are attached to it. And what our team does is goes through and attaches standardized value from the land-based classification system from the American Planning Association. This is linked in our standard schema. It's the LBCS fields. And these are numeric codes ranging from 1,000 to 9,999 that encode a number of dimensions from activity, function, structure, site, and ownership that give us rich detail on how the parcel is being used. So we've been rolling this out nationwide. We'll have an announcement about this in a couple of months, but you'll all be seeing this data in the exports already. And we have links to the keys for folks to use here as well if you're looking for more standardized use information.
Yeah, and we have it on our FAQs on the support site as well. There's more details about the LBCS coding.
Definitely. And there's a few additional columns on there. So we'll have we calculate acres for the parcel, acres in square feet, and we also join in federal qualified opportunity zone flags to the data as well.
That's good. All right. If there are no questions at this point, I guess we can move into data delivery. This is where Blake would have chimed in, but he's unable to at this point.
Definitely. So Blake is fantastic at keeping our data set updated for all our bulk data clients. And I'd like to share a little bit about how that process works, what it looks like once you have access to that. Whether it's the full nationwide data set, it's the full nationwide data set with those premium fields I mentioned, or whether it's a custom export we've put together for you. So this is what it looks like for a typical nationwide export. We provide the data via FTP. It's accessible anytime you want it, and we roll out updates to it once a month. And let me talk through a couple of tips and tricks for accessing it. So when you log in, you'll have a download folder with all of the different formats that we offer available here. The flat CSV file is the only one that really differs. That does not have the full parcel geometry in it. Otherwise, these will all have that full parcel geometry in there.
Matt, can you zoom in just a little bit?
Yeah, let me see if this works here. Does this help at all?
Yes, thank you.
Great, thanks. And one of the key pieces, so you can access this by hand. You can, of course, browse through here and click and download any individual file you're interested in. There's going to be, 2,000 some of them available, one for each county that we have available. What you'll also see is these have really nice predictable names in here. And this is great if you're integrating this into an automated workflow. And for that, we also provide this parcel verse CSV, which mirrors what you'll see on the coverage report at landgrid.com/parcelverse. And let me open this up. Well, if my client behaves, I will pull up a version of this. Sorry. And give me just a moment here. What I'll do is I'll show you we have metadata available for this. What I'll show you is how you can use this. And one column that we have in here that's really useful is, or let me introduce the verse file through the metadata here. So this is just machine readable metadata on all the parcel data that we provide. It includes information on the count, the age, the county, the GeoID, so you can figure out specific places quickly, or you can loop through everything. And it also has our last refresh date for the parcel, for that parcel area. One thing it also has is this canonical path field, and for each county, this will give you an exact path. And the file name stem here will be useful for you for identifying files in a machine readable way. So using the verse table in the file name stem column, you can just loop over the files that are available by FTP, download them all in bulk, and then bulk process them using this data. This is really handy if you want to see, okay, what has updated in the last month? Let me pull everything that's updated in the last month into my database or other system. And we're happy to provide specific code examples or walk through parts of that. So that's how we deliver the bulk data to clients. I'm happy to answer any questions about that. It's by SFTP. You'll get your own login password, and then this metadata table to help process it in bulk, or of course you can always use it by hand. We also have a Parcel API. We have, once you sign up, we'll share a support document for that. There's a couple different endpoints that we support right now. The core ones are latitude and longitude search. So if you have a point on a map, so someone is clicking on a map in your application or app, you can pass that point to us and we'll give you all the details we have on any parcels at that location. And then the other one is by address. So you can pass in an address query and you can add a context, which we describe here, but it helps narrow our search results down and your API token, and we'll give you the best parcel we can find there. Both of those are available to API clients. And then you can also search by parcel number if you're coming in with a parcel number. We also provide a vector and raster tile server. So if you're integrating these tiles into your app, if you want to see them on the map, we can share that with you, whether it's vector or raster. We have endpoints for both of those, including if you need them custom styles for the rasters and interactivity for rasters. We definitely, the vector tile server, we have examples for using that. We love using it with Mapbox and Mapbox GL service. That's a great integration. It works natively. It also works in Esri's vector tile services if you're building Esri web services. So we have examples for that as well. And we're happy to talk about styling and producing this data. So that's an overview of the 3 different ways that we typically deliver the data, and can go into detail on any one of those.
Sounds good. Thank you, Matt. That was amazing. So we'd like to open up for any questions at this point. Please use the chat window there, and we'd love to answer if you have any questions, or if you thought that we didn't cover a particular area enough or talk about something, please let us know. Happy to help. And while our attendees type their questions, I saw that Blake just rejoined. Blake, are you still not able to hear us? Nah. All right. So no questions then? Okay. All right. Go ahead, Matt. Quite possible.
Yeah.
Darren, thank you again so much for taking the survey yesterday. Appreciate it. And I'm so sorry you had some trouble accessing that as well. Somehow technical glitches are, I don't know, it seems to be the theme of this week for us. All right, so if you think of questions at a later time or want to dig deep or discuss further, you can always reach us at parcels@landgrid.com, and one of us will be always available to respond back to you. And like I said, all of our email addresses are essentially our first name at landgrid.com. So Sahana, Matt, and Blake, and I'm sure most of you are probably interfacing with one of us already at this point. We do have a question. From Brian, what do you consider a refresh when you last received data from the county or something else?
Yeah, definitely. So that's a great question. Definitely a common question. So we bump that last refresh date when we pull fresh data from the county. So that includes the geometries. In some cases in between them, there is a table updated key in our Parcelverse table. And that'll record the last date of any type of edit to that table. So that might be we ran another address matching script over it, or we cleaned one field of one row in that table, but we'll only bump that last refresh when we really have pulled a fresh set of data from that county. So actually, and one additional note related to that, if you're working with the data, depending on how you'd like to work with it, table updated is always good. If we're republishing this table and you see a fresh table updated stamp on there, you should feel free to pull in there. There are going to be improvements in that table, but when the last refresh is updated is when the full county is going to change around.
Brian, hope that answered your question. We can do this back and forth on email as well. Thank you. Any other questions about our coverage or data? Oh, I do see another question here. Do all the parcels have both ownership and the boundaries data? If not, what percentage would not have boundaries?
Definitely. Every parcel that we're sharing with you will have boundary data on it. So that's one of our core requirements here is anything that's coming through in any of these formats, we're going to have boundaries for it. For the ownership percent there, I can get you a high-level number. I don't have the high-level number offhand. I don't think it might be in our coverage report in that first row here. So our ownership coverage, this is definitely where I would look for any of the coverage questions is here. So let's scroll on owner over to owner. And sometimes it's quicker just to search. So about 85% of our parcels right now will have the owner name on there.
Great. Thank you, Peter. Let us know if that answered your question. Any other questions? All right. While most of you are typing your questions, I'd like to go ahead and give a few upcoming updates from us. We have a big deploy coming up next week. Like Matt said, we do it every other week, and then we send out monthly updates to our data customers via an update email that lists exactly what was refreshed, what was added, what was updated in the prior month. For instance, if you receive an email from us this month, then it will contain all of the updates and the happenings to the data from the month of January. So that's kind of our way of keeping our customers, data customers, informed of everything that we've been doing with our nationwide data. Apart from that, we have some exciting updates coming up. I don't want to divulge too many details just yet, but in the coming weeks, please keep an eye out for a bunch of announcements from us. Essentially, we have seen over the past couple of years, a lot of people ask for, single county data, or, not something that is nationwide that requires a big back and forth. So we want to make that easily available to you. So we would like to get that going and make that available so you can come, help yourself, see which county you want, and then license the data from us on your own without any of the back and forth and the time consuming process. So please keep an eye out for one such update. Matt here, our miracle worker here on our team, is working on it as we speak. Apart from that, we are also trying to host all of our parcel updates and refreshes as a blog post every month. So if you're not a data customer yet and thinking whether we should become a data customer, whether our data is good enough, you can follow our blog and see what was updated recently. And if it includes anything that you've been looking for, then please reach out to us and we can get you the data. So you don't just have to be a data customer to receive these parcel data updates moving forward. I do see another question pop up. Generally, how often do the counties update their data? Like if a new subdivision is built, how long is it before they have the data for that new area?
Mm-hmm. That's a fantastic question. Every county is very different for it. So some counties are updating their data live, and we try and do as many refreshes as we can. Some places really only publish a fresh set or draw a fresh set of data infrequently, so once a year or plus or minus or less. So our goal is to have every place refreshed at least once a year. And one thing that's really nice is we're able to work with you. So if there's a place where you're especially interested in, let us know. We're able to refresh it more frequently as you need, and we're always speeding up the pipeline for pulling in fresh data. And just as an anecdote, I was talking to a county assessor recently who was telling me that their data comes from the sub-municipalities that are part of their county, and they're having trouble getting those municipalities to even sometimes source their updated subdivision data. So there definitely is a lag for some things like new subdivisions, even from the county, if we refresh as fast as possible. So we're doing our best to keep it up to date.
Yeah. And we try and do as many, as and when we can update the data, we do. Sometimes if we're able to do it multiple times in a year, we do. But there are some times, like for instance, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong here, but a state like Florida refreshes only once a year. So, we won't be able to do multiple refreshes on, Florida data, for instance. But anything else, as and when we're able to, we try and grab it and update and try and add new counties, the counties that we don't actually have.
Totally, yeah. There's some places in Florida where we are able to get more frequent things, but for some parts of the state, we're not. And so we're always working to get those working faster.
Yeah. And right now we update as and when we can, as frequently as we can, but eventually the hope is, and hopefully we can hit those numbers this year, we would like to get to a point where we can do quarterly updates of the entire data set. It'll be nice to get to that point. All right. Does anyone have a joke to tell while we wait for questions? Okay. All right. So I think that's about it. Do I see another question pop by? Yes, I do. Darren, do counties that have more limited information than others ever expand what they report? Or does it stay in whatever state they report?
Yeah, absolutely. They do get better over time. We've definitely found that. So we have some statewide things rolling out soon where we've been able to refresh most of some states, and we've seen really dramatic increases in for example, like our owner coverage and other fields in there. So, and especially if there's a place you're looking at where you see less coverage, we're able to, reach out more as well if there's specific areas. But in general, we are seeing definitely a trend in providing more data.
Thank you, Darren. All right, I think that covers it. We probably answered all. Okay, there's another one just now. We've had some pesky clients find counties where there is not parcel data available. Do you all have a request to send? Do you have a system to send in requests? Interesting.
Yes, so the best way right now is to email us, parcels@landgrid.com. Or if you're in touch with Blake or myself directly as your rep, let us know. And yes, yeah, we're happy to work with you. So sometimes when we're not able to get a county, it's because the cost is prohibitive. We're happy to talk with you about how we can work that on, whether it's a cost that we have to pass on directly and fully because we're not able to share the data, or if we can work something out if we're able to also reuse that data. So we're always there's a number of instances where we've pulled additional data with our relationship with clients, and we really do want to hear from you. If there's a place where your clients are remarking it, we want to make it better for them, and we want to be able to turn that around quickly as well.
Yeah, and I want to quickly add to that we have had such arrangements with customers where they would like certain counties that we don't have, and then we have come up with a similar arrangement that Matt just explained. Definitely would only ask for data and contribute to it being gathered with expectation that everyone will be able to get it as well. That's right. Yes, we try and make sure that that's the way it is, because let's face it, essentially this is public data and we want to make it publicly available to everyone. And typically that's the way we kind of work with customers to make sure that as and when we work with you to acquire counties, and some of them that we have to pay for, we want to make sure that they are publicly available as well. So do we. Thank you. Any more questions? Keep them coming. It's getting interesting. All right. I think that might be the last of it. Just want to check again to make sure that I'm not missing any question. All right. Okay, that wraps it. Thank you all so much for joining us live. This has been amazing. We want to do more of these, and I think the ones that we do on data next will be a little bit more we want to dig deep and dive into certain parts. Like today was just a general overview, but I think the ones that we do in future could be about a particular data set that we just integrated with, like the USPS or, our delivery methods and things like that. So we want to dig deeper and want to do more of these through the year. And we don't just do data, we also do a lot of these webinars and live videos and demos for our mapping platform as well. And we have one coming up in 2 weeks on the 28th on surveying best practices. So if any of you is interested in conducting property and land surveys, that would be a good one to join. It'll be with one of our customers who does these surveys all the time. He's such a pro, and he has, over his course of time doing these surveys, acquired so much experience and expertise that he wants to share his expertise with all of us by sharing his best practices. I do have lots of nerdy data questions, mostly related to change logs, change tracking, change notifications. You've reached out to the right set of crowd. Matt and Blake, both of them here, love interacting with customers and love the nerdy data discussion. So feel free to either email us at parcels@, or you can email them directly, Matt, MATT, @langrid.com, and Blake, BLAKE, @langrid.com, and they would be so happy to answer all of those questions. All right, so that's it. I will keep you guys notified. There you go. Right there. I'll keep you guys notified of any future data-related webinars that we do, but keep following us. And all of these webinars, if you're not able to join them live, they get converted into videos and get added to our YouTube channel and our website. So there's no way of missing the content on any of these. So thank you all so much for joining us live. Appreciate it. And Matt, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise on our data. And Blake, you've been such an amazing partner on this webinar, and I'm so sorry. We want to do one with you again, just you alone, so that people can hear all the good stuff that you have to tell them. All right, Matt and Blake, thank you so much for joining, and thank you all so much. See you again.
All right, thanks everyone.
See ya. Bye-bye.